Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening, or good afternoon, or good morning, depending on when you're listening to this. And welcome to the 87th of hopefully many episodes of Bard Advice, a D&D slash TTRPG slash nerd-centric podcast where I, Chaz, Charles, Yazik, the DM, the Bard, however you may know me, do my best to answer any questions that you might have regarding that orbit. I hope that everybody's doing well. Hope that everybody's had a good week. Happy Friday to you all, or happy Saturday if you're listening on audio. Before we get started, as we always like to do at the top of the show, remind everyone, of course, of the email for the show, which is bardadvice@gmail.com. It also looks like bardadvice. Please send all of your questions, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques, etc. there, that away. They're very helpful in keeping the show going. I'm only half of the show. The questions are the other half. So please send them over to bardadvice@gmail.com. If you want to get some merch, you can do so over at manshorts.com, or more lately, you can go over to krakendice.com and get yourself one of the 4 limited series of dice that we partnered with Kraken to produce this year. And if you'd like to contribute to anything that I'm doing musically, you can do so directly via PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo, all of which are Yazik, Yahzick. Okay. Also, at the top of the show, we also like to thank our patrons, members, super chatters. Remind everybody to please like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, rate the podcast on your respective platforms. It's good for the algorithm. And join the Discord if and you wanna. There's a link that's been posted there in the chat. If you want to hop into the Discord, that's always fun too. So, let's get into it. Now, that's all the housekeeping stuff, so let's hop into Art Corner for this week. The start of Art Corner is a little somber. I just wanted to point out, in case anyone hadn't heard or didn't know, that unfortunately yesterday it appears that Atlanta rapper Rich Homie Quan has passed away. And they're still pending on the results as to the cause of death. He was only 34. It's unfortunate. He's very young, talented guy. It's a shame that he's gone. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly what the cause is for it. There are rumors that it was an overdose. We haven't confirmed that or not, but I just kind of wanted to start off with just mentioning that because, while he wasn't my favorite rapper of all time, I liked his stuff. He was one of my favorite, one of the guys from that generation, and he's really only a few years younger than me, but he was one of those newer, younger guys that I actually really liked. So it's just sad, it's a shame. It's never good to see anybody go. So go listen to a Rich Homie Quan song if you haven't. I've been listening to him for the last 24 hours or so. Also, in Art Corner, on a more positive note, well, I don't know. It depends on what your opinion on it is. But there's a show that my wife and I have been watching recently that I've been kind of hooked on, which is 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way. Now, I just want to point out there's 8 of these shows. Not shows like it. Of the 90 Day Fiancé people, there are 8 to 10 separate series that each have their own multiple seasons. I don't know how to keep up. But I guess that recently, within the last year or two, HBO has bought the rights, or rather has the rights to all the TLC stuff. So they've been hosting a lot of that stuff, and my wife and I have been consuming a lot of it. So if you're into reality TV at all, this is 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way, wherein there are people who are Americans who are going to other countries to try and live and adapt to the culture and society there, to be, in the name of love, I suppose. And it's just super entertaining in my opinion, but it's I think regular people are way more entertaining than the fiction that we can come up with. So that's just something that I've been into. Also, before I forget as well, just another quick little plug, and also part of Art Corner, is that Songaria and I have officially started our Bartificial Intelligence stream. It airs on Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Song's YouTube channel. So go and check that out if you want to. It's interesting, essentially. I've been having a lot of fun with it. We've only really done 2 episodes, really only 1 official episode. But essentially on it, we build AI music along with the chat, and we also give kind of our takes and tips and tricks on how to use the software just based on like our experience with it, and encourage people to check it out. And it's a real fun time. There's a guy named Crom Peterson, and he's our AI voice announcer for the show. So it's a real fun time. Go check that out. Artificial Intelligence. Like I said, that'll be Sundays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on Song's YouTube channel. So I think that's all that we've got for the art corner and housekeeping stuff. So we can get into some questions here. We do have 7 questions. Hello, everybody. I hope that everyone's doing well. Thank you for joining. You're here. You're not late if you're here. That's what we say, right? If you're here, you're not late. Something like that. All right, let's get into it. So I do have a list of names. We'll do the 7 questions, and we'll do some chat at the end. And Pirate, you should be happy to know that your question is first, because I said that it would be eons ago, and I kept forgetting it, but I remembered it, and I've got it here. And hopefully, and you're here in chat, so feel free to like expound upon it if you need to. I think that this is the correct question. At least this is the best way I found it worded. So let's get into it. Pirate asks, you get a chance to steal a spaceship from any sci-fi franchise. Which one do you choose and why? So this was a lot of thinking. And it is a great question. Thank you for the question. And sorry that it's taken this long to get to it. So I think I'm going to have to go Bard Go. It's been 8 minutes. So I think I'm going to have to go with the TARDIS. It's tough, too, because there's a bunch of great ones, right? Like, obviously, any kind of fan of sci-fi, 25, 30 years of watching movies and seeing all these different kinds of properties and stories, like, there's plenty of different ones. But I think from a utility standpoint, I'm going to have to go with the TARDIS. Part of me wants to really pick something like the Battlestar Galactica, or honestly, even something as simple as just like a TIE Interceptor from Star Wars. Like, maybe not even anything like ship specific, as much as it's just like, okay, well, assuming that all of these ships exist and are available, I might not even get like a specific one, as much as I would just like maybe get like a stock like a stock interceptor, and then just like make my own adjustments to it. So, the TARDIS, though, the TARDIS seems to be the obvious choice. You can't get much better than a vehicle that's bigger on the inside. And plus it can travel anywhere in the universe, multiverse, anytime. So I think that's pretty valuable. I don't know how much I would use it. I feel like I would just live in it, It only takes up the space of a police box on the outside. Taking the Millennium Falcon. Well, yeah, by the way, let me see what people are saying in chat. River's taking the Event Horizon. Rocinante, or Rocinante. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of that. The Defiant. TARDIS is probably the best answer, but I'd like the Red Dwarf. Heart of Gold or the TARDIS. Any Star Trek one. The Replicator's more important than the ship. That's actually a really great point. That's an interesting take. Serenity. Serenity is the name of my home Wi-Fi network. One person to operate it, that's a bonus. That's true, too. Yeah, the TARDIS only needs one person to operate. Voyager, hands down. It's the one I know the best. Not too big, 150-person crew, science exploration focused. First featured female Star Trek captain. Oh, that's true. Or the Borg cube. Yeah, I guess I didn't think of it as much from the villain's perspective, because there's some really cool villain ships. Rocinante is the name of Don Quixote's horse. Don't get a crew. Star Trek ships, pretty much anything bigger than a shuttle. Yeah, see, I don't know. That's, I think, another bonus for me with the TARDIS. I don't know how much space I would want to take up. I mean, ideally, that's great, because it's just like, yeah, no, inside it's like the size of like a... I wonder how big is the TARDIS inside compared to other ships? It's got like a big main floor, right? Has to be able to be piloted either by itself or by yourself. That's part of the question. Yeah, and that's another thing too, is that's another bonus, more points for the TARDIS. Because isn't that kind of the whole poetic nature, is that it's like he's always alone? Nice. Thank you very much, Mike, for joining. We're talking about ships. I got asked which ship I would take from the sci-fi franchise, and I'm going with the TARDIS. I might like repaint it or something just for fun. But I guess that's kind of the kind of what keeps it low key, right? Is that it looks like a regular police box. That's kind of the appeal and the effectiveness of it. Is that people just assume it's like a phone booth, and nobody uses phone booths anymore. Was it always a phone booth, by the way? I haven't actually watched any like pre-Christopher Eccleston Doctor. I haven't watched any of the old school ones. I've only watched, and honestly, I stopped kind of watching like in the middle of Matt Smith. I don't know. I just feel like after David Tennant, like I can't. I feel like Doctor Who, David Tennant is the Doctor Who. Everyone needs to look at the new Nintendo Switch Zelda commercial. It's always been a police call box. Okay, cool. Just Superman uses phone booth. Except the police boxes and phone booths that don't exist anymore. True. Yeah, but I mean, who knows that? I guess anybody from England. Well, we don't have police boxes anyway. We have phone booths. And we have like call boxes on the highways. But those are just kind of like little phones, like pay phones. Captain Nemo's Nautilus ship count. As in, wait a minute, Captain Nemo. If it can be called a ship, I would take the Death Star. Yeah, but you need to be able to man it yourself. You can't very well run the Death Star alone. Not even Darth Vader can do that. You got to have a crew. Yeah, so I'm going with TARDIS, final answer. I think that addresses all of my concerns and needs. So, thank you for the question, Pirate, and I'm glad we finally got to discuss it, because I know that it's been a long time coming. You asked it quite a while ago. Heart of Gold from Hitchhiker's Guide. Improbability Drive. All right, so moving on, we've got more questions, and this one is kind of like a follow-up / question. So let's get into this. So this one is from Ben, and Ben asks, "Hi Bard, as a follow-up to last week's question, I was wondering if you had any advice for running a fallen or captured town / city as a dungeon. Maybe having certain districts overrun by undead but some still functioning in survival mode, or a town captured by bandits that could be overthrown or allied with. What do you think?" Thank you for the question, Ben. This was cool to think about. It's not something that I've ever considered, but I wrote some stuff about it, and people in chat, feel free to interject with any of your opinions on this, but this is what I said about it. I love the idea. I think that the idea of a fallen city acting as a dungeon is very cool, and if I were you, at least this is how I would handle it, and what might make it more fun as well as like easier to organize, is to kind of treat it like a theme park. So maybe it's like a giant city, right? Where it's separated into sections or districts by like walls or maybe even water. And as part of the story, the party kind of has to navigate their way through it. And you could make maps. You could treat the maps like they are at like Universal Studios and stuff. That'd be really fun. It'd be work, but it'd be cool to like print them out and then like give everybody a map. Or even if you just gave them one map and they have to kind of like share it. So you could accomplish all of what you want in one place doing it that way. So maybe one section of the city is just teeming with ghouls or zombies, and essentially to get through that, players just kind of have to like eliminate them, right? It's just like a matter of just like, okay, make it through. And another part of the city or another district could be controlled by a group of bandits who are maybe really strong but not necessarily very bright. So they could be easily, manipulated or allied with to get over that. Something else. Wait a minute. I want to make sure because I think something's out of order. Oh, no, that's not true. Something else you could do. Oh, yeah. No. Let me jump ahead to this piece first. One of the sections you could do in the city could be filled with like traps, almost like labyrinthian, like they are like in like or like a Home Alone situation. And maybe at the end of everything, they find like a few survivors who were original citizens of the city who kind of like fill in the blanks of the story, or just kind of like along the way they could run into NPCs who are, OG citizens, and each have parts of the story that puts it all together as to what happened. It's funny, this reminds me of the narrative that's going on in the animated series Solar Opposites. It's a show about aliens that come to Earth, but there's a whole sub narrative storyline that's going on in that show that started out as the Wall. Essentially, two of the aliens, when people annoy them in real life, they shrink them down to like Honey, I Shrunk the Kid size, and then they put them in the wall like pets. So, but inside the wall, there's like, a couple of hundred people. So there's a whole storyline going on with like their whole society and stuff. Well, now, years later, they're outside and they're in the backyard. And something like this kind of reminds me of that, because in this most recent season, they go to these different cities that are in like the backyard. There's like Basketballburg and like, I forget the names of the other ones, but they're all kind of different based on what their individual experiences have been in the wall, like how long they've been there and what they've experienced. So I think that you can really kind of tug on that kind of narrative in the RP of doing it this way. And then the other note that I had was that you could also do this as a tower. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just like a city. It'd be cool if it was like a giant tower. And all of those things that we just talked about, instead of being like districts or sections, were actual levels of the tower that they were ascending. Like the party has to get to the top to solve the thing. Okay, I missed a lot of chat because I was rambling. So let's see. It's a great idea, and I use it regularly, having roaming guards and traps and have your party stealth through it. Rescuing or liberating civilians is a great way to fill up time. Make sure to give them an escort mission. Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like I feel like you could almost make like the whole campaign this and just have them be in different arcs. Because, like, who knows? Maybe it's a thing. I mean, you're the DM, so you can make it however you want. Maybe it's a thing where, like, the other sections of the city, like, literally are only accessible at certain times. So it's like, okay, well, you have to kind of hang out here for a week. And while you're here in this section, because, like, video games are that way, right? Like Assassin's Creed or something. When you get to a new city, there's all these little missions that you can do. And you have to achieve a certain number of those missions to unlock the next piece. Or you could just kind of hang around and keep doing stuff. So you could treat it like that, where it's, it's like, okay, well, this session you're going to be here. And I think that'd be a cool, like, drawn out finale. Like if it was like, they go through like whatever the regular campaign piece is, and then they get to this tower at the end where it's like, okay, first floor, traps and puzzles. Second floor, a zombie army that you have to defeat. Third floor, here are these people, they've taken over the floor, but they're really easy to trick. So get the bard up there to convince them to let you pass. And like River said, like stealth your way through. A fallen city sounds good, but the captor should not be the greatest threat. The starving populace can bring great moral conundrums. You gotta eat. There's a game called Vampire that has a cool take. It divides the city into areas, and the player interactions had a direct effect on each. So if key NPCs are helped or hurt, that would determine the health. They could run into mimics or a false hydra. Yeah, you could do any of this. It's going to be... Let's see. I was thinking set up like the movie The Warriors. Party has to travel through multiple gangs to get through the cursed city. That's cool. Part of the city's blockaded off. They need to figure out a way around it. A prison city where you are cursed to be telephoned into the center square every morning at 7 a.m. until parole. You got to survive your 2-year sentence. Yeah, I think that there's a whole number of things that you could do with it. I think a lot of it just depends on how you design it. I think it's a really cool idea. I would totally encourage you to keep it up. I think that, the best thing for, and honestly, like this is just like an honest plug. This isn't even like a paid plug, but like World Anvil, there's a lot of organizational capability with them. And so I would check out World Anvil. And actually, you can use the code MANSHORTS for, I think it's 40% off the annual memberships. So if you decide to get it and use it. It's just an idea, because something like World Anvil would be really, really helpful for something like this, because each section of the city could have like their articles. You could kind of cross-reference like how things on the timeline, you could come up with a timeline as to like how the city or the tower got into that kind of state, that at least the one that the players meet it with. So it's like, okay, well, there's, you know, how X number of years of history that led up to this point. This is why things are this way. So, oh man, I have big hot dog fingers too. I don't do great with texting. I do fat finger and stuff all the time. Oh, and I'm just seeing this. This is a little bit off topic, but I think I kind of at least got through what my answer to that question was. I forgot to show this earlier. I recently got my physical copy of the Math Lord CD by Songaria. I'm on here a lot, featured. And I just thought that this was really cool, since like we don't really do like hard media these days anymore. Hold on, let me do this. So it's actually a double disc. So you flip it over, there's the setup and then the takedown. And then also what's cool about this is he did a lyric book, which is way cool. That's also a thing that you don't see a lot of these days. So there's lyrics for all the songs in there. So check out Math Lord if you haven't already. It's a cool concept album that we developed. I just happened to think of it because I saw it sitting here, and I was supposed to do this in Art Corner, but I forgot. So also, thanks for the hard copy song. I will treasure it for many years to come. Okay, but I think I got an answer in there for you, Ben. I hope that that guides you into a certain direction. Or, you know, at least gives you ideas to use. You know, remember, you can treat it however you want to, and how you set it up is up to you. So, yeah, just have fun with it. You could even make it like a floating island or something, where it's out in the middle of the ocean and they have to go from island to island. And hey, maybe like the parts of the island are underwater, and only when the tide does certain things are those areas unlocked. Who knows? There's any number of ways that you can do it. But I would just say try and keep it organized as possible, and just kind of take it one chunk at a time. Definitely make the maps for the players like it's a universal. That'd be really cool. All right, so that was the question from Ben. Thank you, Ben. Much appreciated. The next question that we have of the evening, according to the list of names, is from Sarah. And Sarah asks, hello, Bard. Recently, LEGO partnered with Hasbro Wizards of the Coast to produce 6-pack collectible minifigures available on Amazon for $30. There are 12 minifigs total, but it's marketed as a mystery box, so there's no way to know what you'll get. Do you think it's worth it? Are you planning on getting any? Thanks. Thank you for the question, Sarah. I did not know about this, although I think that I heard a while ago that they were doing a partnership with LEGO. I wasn't aware on what the specifics of it were. If anyone is interested to know, I do have the info here. So it looks like, let's see. It is, okay, so that is true. They're selling them on Amazon at $6. Watsy found a way to do loot boxes. Yeah, seems so. So there are 12 unique D&D minifigs to collect in the collection, I guess, that are possible to get. There's the Tiefling Sorcerer, the Elf Bard, the Halfling Druid, the Dwarf Barbarian, the Dragonborn Paladin, the Aarakocra Ranger, the Gith Warlock, a Mind Flayer, the Lady of Pain, Strahd von Zarovich, Tasha the Witch Queen, and Saz Tam. Each of the packs contains 6 of them, and it is like marketed as such, as like kind of a mystery box where you're not sure of which ones you're going to get. Which my knee-jerk reaction to that was like, well, that's really stupid. But then again, like, that's how they do cards, right? Is that Magic people? Is that how they do Magic? Because I know that that's how they do, like, baseball cards and, like, Pokemon, right? Like, you're not sure of what's going to be in there. There's, like, a certain number of ones that would be available, and you just kind of get what you get. Is that the case with Magic, too? I mean, I know that there's, like, packs you can buy, like, I guess they would be called, like, decks. But if you were just getting like a booster pack or something, it's just random, right? So, you know, personally, I think this is cool, and I think it's a smart move by LEGO. I've never really been big into collecting stuff, at least that kind of stuff. I'm not very, I'm not very good at like taking care of like objects just in general. And so, I don't think that that would be a good investment on my part. Plus, I really don't have the passion to care about collecting and keeping it up. But I do understand the appeal. And I said it's a kind of a shame that you don't know what you're going to get, but I guess that's how most collector stores cards work. Tasha would be cool. It's not worth it. I'd rather buy the minis I want directly. Yeah, that's true. But then couldn't you say that about the cards? I guess you can do that if you wanted to just buy the cards directly. Any booster pack of cards is random. Yeah, but they're like 30 billion magic cards, and you can build a deck with only a fraction of them. Yeah, and I'm sure that that's been done by design, especially here lately. Booster has N commons, Y uncommons, 1 rare, and the 1 X of holo or whatever. Oh, okay. Well, and that might be another part of the challenging thing is that there's only 12 of them. So it does seem kind of silly that there's really only 12, and you would have to, I didn't do well in statistics in college, but you'd probably have to buy at least a couple of them to get all of them. I mean, technically speaking, you could get all of them in 2, but that's probably not going to happen. I imagine some of the ones are more rare than others. Maybe it'll be a thing where they do it like this for a while to see if people are biting and paying for it, and then maybe add more and or allow them for individual purchase, rather. I don't see why you don't just like sell them for $10 a piece just as they are. I feel like you could make more money that way. Build a deck with whatever I got. You can go to mtg.com and purchase the complete set, but that's if you want to spend like $600. Well, pay to play, isn't that everything? More than 12 at least, more like 30. Yeah, I was gonna say, like if there were like 50 and you got a random 6 every time, that actually makes more sense to me than the fact that they're only 12. But they're probably, just like with anything, they're just doing this run to see how it sells, and then that'll determine if they sell more moving forward. But we'll see. Very few packs are preset cards. Usually the pre-con decks are the only present cards. They also sell random grab bags of minis. Those are a better investment. Our local FLGS has a trade-in system for copies. It's pretty standard for Legos blind minifigure sets. Is it really? Well, and I can't speak to that because I don't know too much Lego. So, if it's typical for Lego, that's fine. I think for me, it's just that it's been tough these last couple of years watching what was kind of like an off-the-cuff, really nerdy hobby like just 10, 15 years ago. And it's just become so like commercialized like everything else, which is just, it's tough because on the one hand, it's like, I think it's cool because it means more people are going to play. But then on the other hand, it's like, but it's losing its soul. It's becoming like everything else. D&D Beyond and eliminate the option to buy just one and force you to buy all 12 as a set, even if you already own some of them. Only having 12 is how Lego usually does short sets. They're not usually more or less rare than each other. Just makes it easier at the manufacturing not to hold up boxes as they count them. Oh, okay. It would be cool if Kraken and Dice did a loot box. They probably do. It wouldn't surprise me. I think that they do. I know that they have at one point. I think that they had like mystery sets where it was like $10 and you just get what they send you. Now that's cool. Because, like, with dice, I have so many dice. I had to stop myself with my dice. Best bet is to buy a box of whatever edition pre-built decks. Come with at least 4 of just about every card in the set. Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to get it myself, but I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. I think whether or not it's worth it is a personal thing, right? Because, like, I've got stuff at my house that I pay for that people would probably think is stupid, but it's worth it to me, so... A Drunk Before Noon loot box. What would be in that? Probably like an empty bottle of whatever Drunk Before Noon Chaz had drunk his way through. Dice buying is very hard to resist. Yeah, no doubt. I have to just stay away from looking at them. All right. So, thank you for the question, Sarah. That was fun. We got 4 more questions. Dang, it looks like we're already like halfway through. I don't know how that happened, but... Thank you for the question, Sarah. This next question is from Chris. Oh, I have two from Chris this evening. This one I think is the more fun one, although the other one's a good question too. But this one is from Chris, and Chris asks, since these are something you enjoy, I have a list of dream D&D tables that hopefully will give you hours of fun brainstorming. D&D Dream Table cartoon characters. Bum, bum, bum. Now, this is one that might, like, I think that this is a good example of one that will probably, like, change over time, maybe. And, oh, to be fair, I did just kind of, like, organize this list in the last day or two, so I'm sure that there are probably characters I'm forgetting. But I do enjoy these, so thank you for the question, Chris. Everyone in chat, feel free to speak to who you would want at your D&D Dream Cartoon Table. I have got mine, and I even put them up in the little graphic thing earlier. So let's go through them, shall we? So this is my Dream Cartoon D&D table. So these were just some of the ones that I've thought of in the moment that I think would be really fun. Gadget from the Rescue Rangers. I think it would just be cool to see what she would do. And you know, she's always one of my favorite cartoons. She's way cool. The Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers from the 90s in general is like S tier cartoons. Bugs Bunny, just in general. He's, you know, I think he would be super entertaining. He would keep it fun. I feel like Winnie the Pooh would keep things really fun and funny. I think he'd be cool to have around. Butters, just because Butters is fantastic. And, you know, for a long, long time on South Park, Eric Cartman was my favorite character. And then even Randy for a little bit, because I do really like Randy. But Butters is something different. Butters' lore cuts deep as far as his character. So I think that'd be really funny. Andy and Ollie from Bob's Burgers, they come as a set. They're playing one character together, because I just would love to see that. The Pupa from Solar Opposites, I think would be really cool. And Velma from Scooby-Doo, just because I feel like I would want to make sure that there was somebody in the party that kind of had their head on their shoulders and would be able to figure stuff out, like puzzles and stuff. Because, you know, you're not going to count on, like, Winnie the Pooh and Andy and Ollie to solve your problems. Or puzzles, rather. All right, let's see what people are saying. Batman, Bugs Bunny Artificer. Thundar the Barbarian, Marvin the Martian, and Taz. Gadget. Yeah, Gadget'd be a great artificer. Just to hear him say Demon Dogs. Oh. Butters. I've run Thunder and Paladin Rifts. Captain Planet Druid. I thought about that. I thought about Captain Planet. But then again, it's like, what is his... So he stops pollution. I don't know if I like how interesting that's going to be with D&D. Terry from Solar Opposites. I think in the world they exist in make the experience vary greatly. From oh neat to oh no. Let's see what Pirates got. Heathcliff. Oh, that's pretty cool. The Top Cats, Megatron, Fred Flintstone, and the Great Gazoo. Thunder Sunsword would need to be attuned. The Tick is a cleric. I forgot about the Tick, dude. And what about, like, way random, like, deep cut cartoon characters like the Vacuum from the Brave Little Toaster? Kirby? Oh, his name was Kirby. That's just hitting me 30 years in. Also, like, Flip the Clown from Little Nemo. Not Finding Nemo, Little Nemo. Have we talked about Little Nemo before on this podcast? It was this movie that I saw that's from the 80s, right? About the kid that goes to Slumberland. That's what it is, right? Little Nemo and the Adventures in Slumberland. And he has a flying squirrel. And there's this weird clown guy in there named Flip. He'd be fun to have at the table. Jabberjaw. Oh, I don't know why I didn't think of Jabberjaw. Jabberjaw's great. I'm a huge fan of sharks. So, Jabberjaw is a good one. Freakazoid. He-Man, Spider-Man, Superman, Casper, Merlin. Lots of superheroes. Shaggy. Slade, Johann Liebert, Bendrude, Cartman and the Joker. Oh, the Joker would be fun, probably. But I feel like the Joker might do something crazy, like set the table on fire, like, and make it not fun. Brainy Smurf, Mighty Mouse, Master Splinter. Hong Kong Fooey. Little Nemo has a very interesting backstory. It took 20 years to make, and a voice actor actually died before the film was released. Whoa, really? That's crazy. I need to read more into that. Oh, another one that I just thought of that was from my childhood that a lot of people don't know is Willie the Sparrow. Anybody seen that movie? Jerry, Barney Rubble, Goku. Yeah, see, I was thinking about putting Goku, but I feel like he should be reserved for anime. Because I think that anime is another one of the ones that Chris asked in that list. So that'd be for a separate one. Best cartoon for a role-playing game, the characters from Ralph Bashiki's Wizards. Superman from like the 70s or 80s cartoon. Oh, like Man of Steel Superman. Yeah. Grape Ape is a barbarian. Grape Ape's a kaiju, by the way. That's a discussion that should be had among people if they don't already agree on that. Two of you were from anime. Yeah, well, and I mean, that's fine, right? Because it's like technically all anime is just like animation. It's the same. But I guess like in my head I have them as separate genres just because like I watch cartoons for different reasons than I watch anime. I was thinking an honorable mention too to like SpongeBob. SpongeBob would be real fun to have at the table because he's another guy that it would be like super positive and like make it fun. Doom Buggy is a Warforged. Dudley Do Right. Speedy Crevice from Samurai Pizza Cats. As a fighter, Larry the Cucumber is a cleric. Zartan from G.I. Joe is a thief. Grey Wolf from Conan the Adventurer is a wizard. This is the fourth time you've had it isn't even the fourth time you've had this discussion. You've had this discussion way more. Pinky and Bonkers at the table would be hilarious. Oh, what about Cheese from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends? No, you wouldn't be able to get anything done. Pinky, though, on the other hand, for Pinky and the Brain, that would be way fun. And like Looney Tunes, I guess I didn't really think of. I mean, well, I have Bugs on there. Daffy would be kind of cool to have, too. Just because he's got like attitude and he would like want to compete with Bugs. So it's just like different kinds of Gazoo from the Flintstones. Yeah, that's the second mention for the Great Gazoo. He's just cool looking, that guy, huh? He's all green. Gord from Red Green, animated as the Ranger. Sokka. Cheese is the NPC you befriend to use at certain moments where you must have chaos. Yeah, no doubt, dude. Cheese is like the ultimate distraction. Like he would be. That's kind of how I feel about like Andy and Ollie too. Like from Bob's Burgers. Like if you were approaching something that was like, oh man, we need a distraction, just like send Andy and Ollie out to do something. The genie from Aladdin. That's a good one. Spinelli from Recess. Oh, man, I haven't thought about Recess in a real long time. Man. TJ Detweiler and all them. Okay. All right. So, yeah, those are my ones. Gadget, Bugs Bunny, Winnie the Pooh, Butters, Andy and Ollie, the pupa from Solar Opposites, and Velma. The pupa from Solar Opposites mostly because I just think he's like a more chill version of Stewie Griffin. Like he's very much like a world domination minded kind of guy, but he's also like very chill. So you want to run a huge game for all the kids from Hey Arnold? Oh yeah, dude, including who's the guy that is always like stalker breathing behind Helga? Curly? I think so. I think that's his name. All right. Moving forward, thank you for the question, Chris. This next question is from River. And River asks, what is your favorite multi-class combination? Bum, bum, bum. Well, hey, a lot of that depends on the edition, right? Also, the party composition. But I've got an answer. So, Rocky and Bullwinkle. Oh, dude, yeah. Or Boris and Natasha while you're at it. Any of the characters from Rocky and Bullwinkle. Somebody did say Dudley Do Right earlier. Sorry. Thank you for the question, River. Multiclass combo. I think we have talked about this before, but it was fun for me to like revisit this because, as I mentioned, it does depend on like the addition and the rest of the party composition. Over the years, I've run some pretty hefty fighter barbarian combos in 3.5, and not like a full multi-class, but more of just like dipping in for the level for like the one or two levels that gets you rage. When combining rage with all the feats can be a lot of fun because if you're raging and you've got power attack, like you can do some crazy DPS in 3.5 when you combine fighter and barbarian. But honestly, combining fighter with really anything like fighter rogues, you can do cool stuff, like assuming that you do it with stuff like swashbuckler or duelist. um Mostly depends on the party composition. In 3.5, it's sometimes fun to dip into a spell casting class as a fighter or a rogue just for the extra spell casting utility, which is not as present in 3.5 as it is in 5e. Right? Like, I feel like in 5e, like, pretty much everybody has some sort of a magical ability or kind of spell they can cast, except maybe, like, barbarians, right? There's only, like, one or two that just straight up can't cast anything. Whereas in 3.5, you really had to be a wizard, a sorc, or warlock really wasn't, I guess, its own full class in 3.5. It was just sorcerers and wizards. And then like druids and bards were considered more like half casters. So if you were a fighter, having a level or two of wizard or something that just, even if it just gave you cantrips, like that's a lot more valuable and doable in 3.5, because being able to do both in 3.5 is super valuable and is not as common or straightforward as it is in 5e. Verena in the Wii play was actually a barbarian rogue, and she was pretty insane. She was pretty busty. I did some major damage with her. So how goofy or nuts are we getting with the multi-class? I mean, I don't see there being any restrictions as long as it's available for you to do. See, that's what's so fun about 3.5 is because there's so many books with so many different little like classes that you could just like, something like Arcane Trickster, you could just take one level in for the ability to unlock all these abilities to do stuff. But I guess that's how people treat warlocks in 5e, to just drop in for stuff like Eldritch Blast. Ford and Divine Soul Sorcerer and Necromancer Wizard 2 and Necromancer Wizard 2 and Grave Cleric. Oh yeah, I didn't think about mixing with 3 either. The rest goes to Sorc if you get that far. Partial to my first character, she was a 3.5 rogue archivist and eventually turned into the primary healer due to homebrew shenanigans. Oh, that's cool. Don Bluth is your favorite animator. Oh, we were just talking about All Dogs Go to Heaven the other day. Sad. So sad. And scary and traumatic. What else did Bluth do? Did Bluth do Rover Dangerfield? I think he also did Rockadoodle. There's a handful of them. You probably know if you're a fan, if he's your favorite animator. Druid Monk. Rage is definitely a spell-like ability. True. Wasn't she zonked out on Zork? Yeah, for sure. But I mean, when she had to fight, she held her own. This question plays directly into the question I posted on Discord. If anyone can learn magic, that implies that everyone is born with the ability to do so, meaning all spellcasters except for warlocks who possess no magic on their own are simply sorcerers. And if you need to be born with magic to cast spells, then that implies the only people with innate magic can learn to use it. So in either scenario, wizards are just sorcerers with a degree. Yeah, I mean, effectively. Personally, I don't even know if you need 2. I think you could just have wizards. But, I mean, I guess sorcerer is cool because it's like, oh, it's innate. I don't know. I don't get the warlock thing other than, like, the whole, like, edgy pact magic deal. I don't get it. Thumbelina. Oh, yeah, Don Bluth did do Thumbelina. Feifel. Oh, my gosh. Man. Coming with the hits, Don Bluth. American Tail. Animated scene from Xanadu. The animated scene from Xanadu. Anastasia. Okay. All right. Got to read the question in the Discord. Yeah. I'll have to take a little more time with it. Sorry, I just kind of was like burning through it. Not sure I fully understood it. Speaking of gunslingers, Vash the Stampede for the cartoon campaign. Yo, that's a good call. No, a wizard has to have spell components and be spellbound. On a spellbound. Don't forget he did the animation for the Dragon Lair game and Space Ace. Whoa, hold on. Dragon's Lair, like the arcade game from the 80s that's like animated? A Troll in Central Park. Whoa. Dude, Don Bluth didn't miss. There's so many. Secret of Nim. That's wild. I didn't know that. I didn't know that he was behind all of those. That's way cool. Okay. So, yeah, that's, I guess, like, you know, I would say, like, Fighter Barbarian is the first one. At least, like, the most experience that I have with as far as multi-classes are my favorite ones. All right. So, we've got 2 more questions this evening, and then we can do a little chat, just talk about stuff. So the next question is, thank you for the question, River, by the way. The next question is from Trevor, and Trevor asks, hey, Yaz, in Alchemist Fire, you rap, lost a lot of years to the bottle. Is this a quote about your life or an in-character statement? Would you be willing to offer your perspective on alcohol versus marijuana use and abuse? Sorry for turning this into a very special episode of Bard Advice. Wow, thank you for the question, Trevor. No need to apologize. That's fine. It's a, you know, it's a valid question, and I don't, excuse me, I don't talk about it a lot, but I do. It does bleed through in my work. So yeah, I mean, I'm an alcoholic. I'm not somebody that has drank alcohol for several years. I stopped back in 2017 because I just, you know, I kind of reached the realization that like I can't do it. I can't do it responsibly. And so as a result, it doesn't really ever end well. So I just don't start. That's just kind of how I do. I can't speak for other people and I won't, but I can speak for myself. In my experience, in my opinion, I think alcohol is just a poison. It doesn't really offer any kind of medicinal properties. And I think it's far more harmful than it is good. I think it's far more harmful than cannabis for sure. But you know, it is a thing that people have the right to do, and people do a lot. It's a huge industry in this country and across the world. And, you know, so much so that even as the FDA chips further and further away at the vape industry for marketing to kids, they seemingly take no issue with the existence of cotton candy vodka. So, you know, obviously I think that adults should be able to do whatever they want to do, assuming that they're not hurting anyone else or violating someone else's rights. I do think that alcohol can lead to that because, you know, obviously alcohol leads to drunk driving, which can lead to massive injury or death with drunk driving accidents, not just to yourself, but to other people on the road. It's a real hazard. And, you know, it's just not really that good for you. I think that it's far more destructive than it is beneficial. Cannabis, on the other hand, I feel like offers relief from a myriad of ailments. I have a cannabis prescription for generalized anxiety, and it helps me a lot. It really just kind of helps keep me calm and keep my mood stable. And I will also say this, like, I think that anything in excess can be bad. I think that anything that negatively affects your life, your day-to-day life, and your relationships with people can be bad. You know, like I'm sure that there are people who are like addicted to the gym so much that it's ruining their relationship. So I don't think that it's as easy to say like one substance is better than the other, or, you know, it's smarter to use this than the other. I'm really only speaking from my experience, which is that like alcohol would have killed me had I just kept going down the track that I was on with it. You know, I also think that I am one of those few people that gets like a real energy boost from alcohol, which is another thing that makes it dangerous because I have like a naturally addictive personality as it is with kind of anything. I very much like latch onto stuff very passionately. And so that's just that, you know, there's no good end for that when it comes to alcohol. Good evening. Thank you. Well done in sobriety. Oh, thank you. Cook with it. I don't really drink it anymore. It makes you feel like crap. Yeah, and I don't know, it's one thing if you're like 22 and you're just like knocking some back with the boys and stuff. That's totally understandable. But it's like now that I'm getting to be 40, it's like I couldn't do it. I just my body wouldn't allow for it. So you're not getting that Chaz takes a drink square. Let the bard do it like the Mustang. Well, hold on. This is a different conversation. Walt Disney Animation Studios, Filmation, 20th Century Fox. He's still presently active in filmmaking. Bluth is? Dang. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of just where I'm at with it. I don't think that, I think that you should have the right to go drink if you want to. I think you'd be better off just smoking some weed. I think that it's not as harmful to you, both physically as well as like socially. And, there are plenty of people that can totally control themselves, and they can just have like 1 or 2 drinks and then they're done. I have friends that are that way, where it's just like, oh yes, I'm done. I don't have that off switch. And so I would rather, smoke too much that I fall asleep than drink so much that I get, that I black out and don't know where I am, or that I go driving and now I'm a danger on the road. So, yeah, that's just how I am. Stopped when you got mad at my friends for saying how much they love drinking and how it helps. Got mad at them, ironically drunk. I realized my hypocrisy that night and quit. Smoke, just don't drink for all the time because he went from a family of alcoholics. Won't allow myself to get to that point. Yeah, and it can actually kill you. That's the other thing, too. Not just like, oh, you had too much to drink and you got into a car accident. Like, it will just shut your liver down. It'll shut down your organs. Like, eventually, if you treat it like the way that I used to treat it, there's no end to that road than just, like, destruction. So that's what too much means. Too much water would be bad for you. Obviously, too much is that quantity which is excessive. That's what it means. Yeah, for sure. Too much of anything is bad for you. So if you're going to have too much of something, just have too much weed and just like get the munchies and fall asleep. I think that's way better of an outcome than, organ failure or getting into a car accident and killing somebody. Like, obviously. So, refuse to drive after having even 1 hour ago. Yeah, and good for you. Like, what was it? Who was it? That comedian Sam Kinison that used to joke about that, about how like, oh, you're not supposed to drink and drive, but we do it every night. It's like, I mean, I think that there's some truth to that. Like, obviously not everyone, but I think a lot of people have done it and continue to do it. And, it's just unfortunate because it's, one of the notes that I wrote here is like, and I said that earlier, I think adults should be able to do whatever they want, assuming they aren't hurting anyone else or violating someone else's rights. And it's like, if you're driving around on the road drunk, you're violating everybody else's right to drive on a safe highway or on a safe road, So, but that's just where I'm at. So thanks for the question, Trevor. I'm way pro-cannabis. So let's go. We've got one last question, and then we're into chat. The last question of the evening is from Chris, and this will be a fun one to kind of just like shift into chat from. But Chris asks, it's often joked about that the old folks' homes of tomorrow are going to be filled with D&D games and Mario Kart tournaments instead of bingo and crafts. Is this something you would want to experience? Thank you for the question, Chris. Yeah, I just hope there's Halo 3, personally. But yeah, I love this idea. If I'm gonna have to be in an assisted living center, I'd very much like to have access to all of my old favorite video games. In fact, it sounds like an industry that should already exist, right? Because, Atari was around in the 70s, so, some gamers, I think, are probably starting to knock on that door of getting to be that age into the 60s and 70s. And I think it'd be way cool. You could have different rooms for these things. There could be a TTRPG room, a Nintendo room, a PlayStation room. Mario Kart would be way fun, as well as Mario Party. I'm thinking like GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, NFL Blitz, NBA Street, Guitar Hero, Fusion Frenzy in the Xbox room, like all the old Halos. What are some games, chat, that you'd like to see in in the retirement home, in our retirement arcade? Oh, a retirement arcade. That's what you could call it. Plus, how about this? I'd be way more willing to go to a place called a retirement arcade than like a retirement center or a retirement home. Like if I had kids that came to me and they were like, all right, Dad, it's time. We've got to take you to the retirement arcade. I'd be like, oh, all right, let's go. I'd be way more willing to go. Let's see. Dentures and Dice, NBA Jam, Sega, board games. By the way, we could just use this as an official transition into chat since we are getting to be in the last few minutes of the episode. So we're in chat, but also just having this conversation about like video games at the retirement arcade. Still teabagging in Counter-Strike. Oh yeah, dude. Or like Team Fortress 2. Board games. Rock Band. Twister. I don't know about all that. Jump on Medal of Honor LAN party. Pole position for Atari. Oh, I didn't even think about that. VR. Oh boy. Man, how fun would it be to play like Excite Bike in VR? For someone who can't smoke due to a congenital lung issue, what's the best next way to have it? I mean, edibles and or like tinctures, sublingual. I mean, you could just make butter with flour. So it doesn't necessarily have to be consumed that way. Arcade needs Golden Axe and Street Fighter. Oh, dude, Golden Axe and Streets of Rage. Yeah, I see that Streets of Rage is in there. Heck yeah. Super C, Mortal Kombat, TMNT 2 Arcade, like Paperboy. Gauntlet Arcade, most definitely Gauntlet. I've spent hours in like electronics boutique playing Gauntlet. If we're talking in chat, say congratulations, Florida. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna pass. It is on the ballot, but you know the leadership of our state is very against it, and I mean the leadership of our state's too busy selling off our state parks for golf courses. But the leadership of our state is very against it, and also Florida has a fun rule where we have to pass our stuff by 60%. So while I do think more people have come around to the idea, I don't know how likely it is that it'll pass. But it'd be great if it does, because those of us with medicinal cards will still be able to get it without paying tax. So that's nice. Do you play or run any other game systems? Not for TTRPGs, really. I mean, over the years I've played stuff like Modern and Future, D20 Future, and like Wild West stuff, but most of my experience is with 3.5 and 5e. As far as video games, I'm a PC gamer myself these days. Pretty much like since Skyrim, I've been on PC. I just like it better. Steam. Got all my stuff there. Rainbow Six Siege, Gauntlet, lots of Gauntlet. Use a flower. Oh, a vaporizer. Copies of Legend of Zelda. The Jags this weekend, are we going to win? I don't know. Are we in Miami? Are we at home? Play Miami? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. I got to see. I need a couple of weeks to like really feel where I'm at with them. You know, it's being a Jags fan is a very traumatic thing. So, Children of the Atom. Yeah, I don't know if the Jags. I don't know. Tampa has an easy win. Oh, you're playing the Commanders? Oh, we're in Miami? I don't know. That's going to be tough. Miami's pretty solid. Cali's voting on raising minimum wage to 18. Has a better chance of Florida getting... Yeah, I totally agree. It's just unfortunate. There's a lot of people here, I think, that are like just kind of anti any of that stuff. So... Oh, and yes, BG3 did get a patch. I had to wait for all of that stuff to update yesterday. Oh, it won't be on consoles for a month. Crossplay coming soon. Oh, nice. Finally. Gosh, it's been a year. Still have PS2, Dreamcast, Super Nintendo, GameCube. Yeah, we have a I have a Nintendo Switch, and I have like a lot of the old Nintendo games on it. And then we also have a Sega Genesis. So, yeah. I almost got an Xbox just to play NCAA 25. I don't know why they didn't release that on PC. That's the dumbest thing to me. Picked Miami for your pool. I mean, it's not a dumb bet. As a 1971 baby, no way at 53. Tomorrow would be going to an old folks home. Okay, well, yeah, that's true. But I guess but Ruby, if you were born in like 51 and you were 20 when the Atari came out, those are the kind of people that I'm talking about. Those are the kind of people that are starting to look in that direction, right? Because those people are like 73, 75. So, yeah, I mean, maybe it'll be a more common thing in the future. Miss the NES, yeah. Good things of the week? Yeah. What's good things for the week? I made a whole heck of a lot of progress this week on my school. In fact, I feel like maybe I got like 1.5 more weeks-ish of lessons, maybe 2 weeks of lessons left, and then I'll be studying. And then I'm going to probably study for a week or two to get ready for the exam, and then I'll be taking my exam and hopefully getting my A+ certification. I said that my original plan was to have it by Halloween, so I'm on track to do that. I might have it actually by the end of the month, depending on when I can schedule my exam. So, what are good things of the week, people? What's good going on out there? Looking at history, it's a matter of numbers. More people who vote, more likely to pass 60%. Millennials and Gen Z outnumber. Oh, thank you very much. Picked up the new PHB, start a new campaign next week. Oh, that's fun. Hey, man, PS2 and DS have solid games. Good thing of the week, you're here after a hellish week. The weekend is here, recovering from sickness and just waiting on hearing to return. Oh, man, sorry about that, Chris. That sucks. I hope that comes back soon, sooner than later. Man, you don't really, that's the unfortunate thing, right? You don't appreciate your health like until you have those senses gone and you're like feeling crappy, and it's like all you want to do is just feel normal. It makes me want to like appreciate that I'm kind of in a normal state right now. Cold called about a job opportunity. Oh, interesting. Custom mode now allows the legendary actions of honor mode, so you're looking forward to testing out a balanced game with legendary actions. Yeah, and isn't that another thing that they updated with BG3, right? They basically just have like a mod. They just have like a section for mods where they could be enabled and disabled. That's so cool of them. Tickets to see TSO in December. Hope that happens soon. All I want to do is not feel 60. Is that what that says? I can't see behind the little thing. It's annoying. But, yeah, it's been a solid week, I suppose. And next week should be even better. And, by the way, if you're interested... Oh, wait, more mod support, console... We'll be getting access to the mods as well. That's going to be so lit. I'd be really excited to try out different races and or different classes. I'm sure that there are mods that allow you to go higher level. I just wish that there were like opportunities for you to like set up your own kind of encounters and stuff. Got the updated vaccine and flu shot. Nice. One-shot creation series. Not sure. But we do have an episode this weekend that'll be available tomorrow. No, Sunday. There's a new episode this week. So actually, we've got an episode for the next 2 weeks. But there's really only a handful left before the end of the year. So, gosh, I can't believe it's already September. They just keep breezing by, these things. Speaking of breezing by, we're already here at the end, chat. And I don't want to speak too long because I've got to still edit this thing. So... let's do some stuff at the end, and then we'll say goodbye here. Okay, so here we are at the end again. As a reminder of everybody, the email for the show is bardadvice@gmail.com. Please send all your questions, concerns, complaints, queries, criticisms, critiques, stories, follow-ups to bardadvice@gmail.com. Also looks like bardadvice. If you want to get some merch, you can do so over at manshorts.com, or you can go over to krakendice.com, get yourself one of the 4 limited dice series that Kraken and Manshorts produced earlier this year. If you want to contribute to anything that I'm doing musically, you can do so directly via PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo, all of which are Yazik, Yahzick. Thank you again to all of our patrons, our members, our super chatters. Remind everybody to please like this, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, rate the podcast, and join the Discord. There's a link in the description. We will be back next week, same Bard time, same Bard channel, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Man Shorts YouTube channel. Don't forget to go check out Bartificial Intelligence this weekend on at Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific. The audio for this podcast, as always, will be made available tomorrow, Saturday at 12 p.m. noon. I hope that everybody has a fantastic weekend and an even better week, and we will see you next time.